God bless America. Hello, everybody. I am the Talk Radio Protege. This is the Protege program. Thank you all for joining me on this Friday. We're almost to the weekend. I hope you're ready. This is the last video, the last hurdle, the last obstacle standing between you and unplugging for the weekend. So hang on. I've got two stories to talk about. The first is on the mass exodus of residents from San Francisco. And I know it's not a representative sample of the population, but I just want to show you what one individual that they interviewed for this column said they were leaving. We don't like it here anymore. You know, we don't like this sanctuary state status and the politics here, says Carol DeBeck. I'm assuming it's pronounced Carol, who is a retired engineer who's leaving California for the state of Tennessee. Now, for anybody living in California who is migrating outwards to the redder states, I would like to say, welcome. Come join us, but please leave the communism, leave the leftism, leave the insanity that is social justice in California. We don't need it in the rest of the world. You're leaving California for the politics. Don't vote for California politics once you get out of that state. Please and thank you. That's it for this public service announcement. The other story that I wanted to talk about, I peruse a few different websites. Some of them are right-leaning in their commentary. One of them is the Patriot Post, and I talked about them yesterday. I'm talking about them again today because they bring new insight to something that I made a comment on a long time ago. One of my videos that has a few more views than the average. A while back, I talked about an Anita Sarkeesian video where she was making comments about abortion. And she mentioned that there's a lot of areas that don't have an abortion clinic, which is code for Planned Parenthood, within 30 miles. And, well, in the case of this study, 25 miles, I wondered why it was that a liberal would think it was a big deal that somebody would have to drive 30 minutes to get something. And I believe I have an answer for that. Let's get into some of the lines from this column before I share that with you first. Okay, let's going on down into here. The left likes to talk about the word that this Patriot Post writer gives it is desertification. And that's when there is something that's not available to you within whatever the left's tolerable range for that is. And according to a study conducted by the Urban Institute, the tolerable range for something that something must be inside of for you in order for it to not be a desert is 25 miles. Apparently, millions of Americans don't have a 4-year university within 25 miles of where they live. So now anything that doesn't have what it is that you want in 25 miles is a desert. Because people are not willing to move. People are not willing to drive long distances for what it is that they want. That was the claim by Anita Sarkeesian in the abortion video. People aren't going to drive to abortion clinics unless they're within a certain distance from where they live. And I think that the attitude comes from a place that's in the name of this institute which did the Disconnected from Higher Education study. The left live in urban centers. They love urban centers, and they think that any place that's not an urban center is a desert. The reason for that is that if you don't live in an urban center, you're going to have to drive about 30 miles for half of the things that you want out of life. If you go from an urban center to a non-urban center, you are going to be giving up roughly half of what you had in an urban center. Some urban centers have things that some non-urban centers have things that other non-urban centers don't, and vice versa. One One rural town might have a florist, another urban town might have a theater, another rural town, might have a movie theater, another rural town might have a used car shop. These places, you're going to have to drive to these other cities to get the things that you want. And people that live in rural locations acknowledge that. Most people that live in rural locations like that. That's a reason that they live in a rural location. Most people that live in a city that doesn't have a college within 25 miles want to live in a place that doesn't have a college in 25 miles. Not to mention I would wonder if this study of the Urban Institute that says millions of Americans don't have access to a 4-year university within 25 miles, and access just means there's not one. I wonder if they're including Americans that have a 4-year degree, a degree from a 4-year university, or if they're including Americans that are not in the age range to go to college, or people that aren't interested in going to a university whatsoever. That'd be an interesting question to ask. Now, there's a couple of small things that I just wanted to talk about. Maybe it's just me getting bored with the state of news. We seem to be talking about a lot of the same things. There seems to be little development in the stories that have been at the top of the headline charts for the last couple of weeks. I'm ready to see a change, I suppose. I would like to see some coverage of some different topics. There's other things that we could be talking about instead of Russia every day or a new FISA memo every day. And these are the kind of things that I decided I wanted to talk about today. So I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that you'll subscribe, leave a like, and hit the bell for notifications if you enjoy this content and want to see some more. Make sure you come back on Monday. We'll be picking up with a new news cycle. Then, until next time, have a great weekend, good night, and God bless.